Hello, everyone. This is MMA Interesting Prospects podcast. Today, our guest is one of the best amateur featherweight prospect, Joshua Biagini. Hello, Joshua. How are you?
Good. How you guys doing?
I'm good. And in June, you won quite a big fight because you become a featherweight champion in the Midwest Fight League. So, if you can tell me overall, how important was for you to become a champion in a promotion and also to like protect your record because right now you are 6-0.
Yeah, I mean, keeping that it's not the most important thing to me. It's all about getting better and moving up to the pro scene. But I mean, it does feel pretty damn good to keep the O intact, be undefeated, 6 fights, 6 wins is pretty impressive even as an amateur. The title, I mean, it's cool and all. It's definitely a good thing to get under your belt. I feel like that's a step along the way is getting an amateur title. I feel like any real pro usually gets one or two before they make it up there. But I mean, it's not my identity. I don't plan on being an amateur fighter forever. I think it's inevitable that I'm going to make a pro debut here soon, honestly. And I think it's just a part of the journey. I mean, I'll defend it if they get me an opponent and somebody to fight. I'll fight anybody they give me. But yeah, it's just a step along the way.
And in your previous fights, you won by knockouts, also by submissions, and it was the first fight that you went full distance. So probably it also can be a little bit like beneficial for you because you can see how you like fight in the third round.
Oh yeah, I mean, it was a little bit disappointing not to get a finish, but going to that third round, I wasn't uncomfortable there. I felt, just as fresh and as good as I did in the first and second round. And I mean, yeah, it was good experience to go all the way and actually get a decision win. But I definitely like to test myself a little bit more um, and see, with some better opponents. That was kind of a fight that I felt like I knew what the decision was going to be at the end of the fight. I think it'd be cool to get, have a decision fight where, we're both a little banged up. We both kind of don't know who's going to win. So it's good to stay dominant, but I definitely want to test myself.
Yes, but also definitely like five finishes in in 6 bouts. It's not a good, not a bad like definitely a result. So it's like you are definitely a finisher, which you showed like in your previous fights.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's nothing better than going out there finishing a fight first round, then going out and celebrate with all your friends. I mean, that's kind of the part of the reason why anybody does it. Anybody that likes attention likes fighting, and I'm just like anybody else. I like the attention of a first round finish. We go out and celebrate, have us a night. That's kind of what it's all about. But definitely want to challenge myself so that we can keep getting those finishes. Kind of learn more about myself and keep finishing fights even at the pro level, right?
And right now you are one of the like best amateur fighters. And if you can tell me, do you think that you will defend this belt, maybe take some other challenge, or do you think going pro in your next fight?
Well, I'm looking at a fight on a different promotion this November. Um, I don't know if it would be for a title. I don't have any details on who the opponent is. I just know that it's at the end of November. But of course, I'd be open to defending the title on the Midwest Fight League. I think that'd be a great opportunity, and I like the promotion that they put on there, and they they've definitely given me a lot of good opportunities. So I'd of course definitely get a little more experience before going pro, but I definitely think you could see me going pro in the next 2, 3 fights for sure.
And if you can tell me more about your beginnings in like combat sports, what was the first combat sport that you ever trained, and how old were you when you felt that MMA can be like your a part of your journey?
Yeah, so I started wrestling when I was probably third, fourth grade. So I've been wrestling for over 10 years now, and I wrestled all the way through high school, and I was supposed to go off to college to wrestle, and I just, I didn't love the sport of wrestling as much as I should have to want to actually go 4 years and wrestle at university. So I decided just to go to school, and you know I was probably out there partying a little too much, not sticking away from my roots, not staying in good shape. And then I found a MMA gym out there, and I'd always had interest in combat sports and the striking side of things. So I decided it'd be good for me to go in there and start training. I found my gym down in Columbia, Missouri at Hewlett House MMA, and I started training that summer. Took a fight a few weeks later, had my first fight, and I've loved it ever since. So definitely, definitely been a fun journey. I loved wrestling, but I'm definitely a much better fighter than I ever was a wrestler. So I'm definitely here to stay with the MMA stuff. And I've only been training for about a little over 3 years now. So
So with your wrestling background, when you went to MMA gym, how do you like striking and first, and how good were you without any training? Were you more of the like natural, so you knew what to do, or not, or it was like a little bit harder for you?
I mean, I picked up like the offensive striking pretty quickly. I know there's a lot of wrestlers that look kind of sloppy and stuff, and I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm an elite, high level, world class striker by any means. But I picked up the offensive stuff fairly quickly. But it was the defense that I struggle with, the head movement, staying in the pocket. I really struggled with that, and I've definitely started to get my feet under me and really enjoy the striking side of it a lot more. I mean, who doesn't love hitting somebody? So naturally, I definitely love the striking aspect, and it's honestly become one of my favorite things to train. Sometimes I get away from the fact that I am a wrestler and I forget that I can wrestle because I stand up and try to strike too much in practice. But, most of my fights have been a wrestling dominated fight. So I'd like to get in there and change things up. But at the end of the day, I've had opponents and corners pissed at me because I took down their guy and they were like, let's stand, let's stand. It's MMA, and I'm going to use what I'm good at, and I don't give a shit what anybody else thinks about that. Um, I'm still going to take him down and try to find a finish. I'm not going to lay on you and look for a win that way. So, you know, I'm definitely a wrestler at heart, but I love striking.
Yes, but it's just better to use your like main tool, and I get it that if you are not like super good wrestler, you can provoke your opponent. Oh, so let's just stand and strike. But in the end, you probably need to think about yourself and just finish the fight as quickly as you can. So in the end, probably this is like a better option for you. But in the end, of course, we are also like progressing in the striking. So in like 2 or 3 years, your striking probably also will be like one of your main or even who knows, maybe like main tool.
Yeah, I mean, the last fight that we had, the corner was yelling at me, calling me a pussy, trying to get me to let the guy up. And, I like that because it just shows that I'm going to stay grounded. I didn't let their guy up. I get what they're doing. Obviously, you see that in the corners of all kinds of fighters. You saw it in the UFC, even, corners yelling at the fighters, trying to get them to do things. And, I just care about this too much. I'm not going to let their guy up and give him a chance. So, you know, I definitely think that the striking and the wrestling are going to feed off each other. And I'm definitely going to use it as a dangerous combination in the future. So.
And in your gym, do you have fighters like you? So maybe amateur fighters, maybe early pro fighters that you think that they can be successful in next few years?
Yeah, so we actually one of our guys, Darian Weeks, he was in the UFC. He trains at our gym all the time, and he's a great guy to have around. He's a veteran in the sport, has been pro forever. There's a couple other guys, Will Hoft, he's my buddy. He just had his debut. He was a college wrestler at Harvard. He's somebody to watch out for. Oliver Sumfield, he's another 145-pound guy. He's sharp. real gamer, good striker. There's a lot of upcoming amateur guys that are getting their foot in the door. Jordy Salazar, another 145 pounder. So we've got guys all over the board. We've got pro guys, amateur guys, good guys to have around to help us out. So
And there are like fighters in your like weight class, so probably the like the training sessions are really good because it's like if it is like two weight classes above or like or something like this, probably it can be a little bit harder. But if they are like really close to your weight, it's probably like best for you and also best for them.
yeah, no, it definitely helps out. And we travel around a little bit too to different gyms in Missouri and get different looks. So I think that's a pretty important part of the sport is you can't just train with the same guys all the time. You obviously have your camp, but I travel all around and try to get different looks from everybody I can. So
And like, of course, you are right now quite a young fighter, but when you are thinking about your future, do you have maybe like timeline that you want to be like 5-0 as the pro at this moment, or like going to like super big promotion in other? Do you have this kind of like plan for your career?
I mean, a lot of people that know me know that I kind of ride by the seat of my pants and I don't really have a plan for much that I do. But I will say, I think trying to plan stuff like that out is not always in the fighter's best interest. You're disappointed when you don't make this timeline. You're pissed when you don't make that timeline. I think it puts a lot of unnecessary pressure on yourself. I think that what's going to make me a great fighter and push me to that next level, that 5-0 undefeated pro, work into a great promotion like UFC one or any of those other high level pro promotions. It just takes time and being at the right place at the right time, putting in all that hard work. I don't have a I don't have a timeline for it. I just know that I'll get there when I get there, and I think that's the best way to look at it.
And because of your wrestling background, I think that it can be like a good question. Do you watch or do you like overall like the rough concept, so a real American freestyle?
Yeah, I think it's great. I mean, it's bringing a lot of eyes to the sport, and I obviously love wrestling. I don't compete in it anymore. Maybe someday, if I get big enough as a pro fighter, they'll have me on that RAF card over there. But it's ran by Izzy Martinez, a guy out of Illinois, where I'm originally from. So it's cool to see a lot of Illinois wrestlers and different people that like I've kind of grew up watching wrestle, or even people my age that were at the same tournaments as me, go and compete in that RAF. And I think it's great for it. It's bringing all kinds of new fans and a little bit more money for those guys that want to be a pro wrestler, but can't chase the Olympics. I think that's a great promotion they've got going on over there.
Yes, and actually many fighters, like high-level fighters from MMA, from UFC, are competing there. So it's also good because, like, even for MMA fans, they can wait for one like match between MMA fighters, but in the end they can watch like good wrestlers, and they even can like become a fans of them. So it's like I think that really good mix, like MMA and wrestling.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's good for everybody involved. Gives the UFC guys another way to kind of express their wrestling and get another paycheck at the end of the day. That's kind of what it's all about. But yeah, I think it will help some fans get away from this myth that like wrestling's super boring and something that we shouldn't do. It can be actually pretty entertaining, and I think it's a good way for people to come out and actually see some of their favorite fighters if they can't make it to a UFC fight. RAF travels around to pretty much every major city, and you know you can hit one of those and see one of your favorite fighters wrestle. I think that's pretty cool. So
And outside of fight game, when you have a little bit more free time, so maybe right now, after your fight and before your next one, do you have any other like hobbies or passions that you like to spend your time on?
yeah, I'm a fisherman. I'm always fishing, trying to catch I just caught a couple nice muskie this summer. I don't know if you know what a muskie is. It's big freshwater fish. One of my favorite fish to catch. Me and my team, we actually go down to Louisiana every Christmas break, spring break, and we go fish for redfish down in Louisiana. So I definitely I stay outside and stay active when I'm not in the gym. So
And I think that actually there are a few fighters who are like good fishermen's. I'm not sure, but Gregor Gillespie, he was like also a wrestler, and he was like UFC lightweight. He was, I believe, one of the main guys from the like fishing world, let's say.
oh yeah, there's all kinds of guys that fish and are good fighters. I think it kind of goes hand in hand. You know, fighters are all kind of the same. They like being outside. They like, hunting, fishing for their own food. And, you know, it's a fun way to spend your time and you also get something out of it. You get some fish and some deer meat that you take home, cook up. It feeds the hobby, you know what I mean? It feeds my fighting. Go out there, catch some fish, cook it up, eat it, and then I've got good fuel for training. So,
Okay, Joshua, so many thanks for the time and for conversation. Of course, I hope that you will win your next fight and maybe like next year you will go pro.
yeah, I'm hoping so. Thanks for having me on. It was great talking to you. So, I'm hoping you guys see a lot more great things from me and the next year I can expect a pro debut coming your guys' way.